Carvalho Chapter 2. On the way back, the engine made a few strange noises and then stopped, and I had made only half a mile from Modigere. Thank heaven it wasn't raining, but the sky was overcast and looked as if it would rain any moment. I got off, lifted the bonnet, checked the battery, the plug, the wiring, and so on, and tried to start the vehicle. It wouldn't come to life. I mentally went over all the odd problems that the Jeep had, but that did not help either. I cleaned the carburetor, the jets, and the distribution system. It was of no use. It was getting to be a little dark, and I was slightly worried. On an impulse, I opened the lid of the petrol tank. The blasted thing had gone dry. The bottom shone like polished steel. Now I knew why the Jeep had come to a sudden stop. I waited, hoping that somebody would turn up. After a while, I heard a Java motor bicycle and saw two men with raincoats on coming in my direction. When they were still at a distance, I went to the middle of the road, waved my hand, signaling them to stop. They stopped. The pillion rider asked, "Why, sir, what is the matter?" "I want a favor," I said. "Yes, I want a little petrol." "Our little stock wouldn't be enough for your big vehicle, sir, and it is difficult to pump petrol from this motorbike's tank." They were right. After a moment, he said, "Right, you stay here. We shall go to Mudikere and get you some petrol." I didn't have any money, but I told them that the owner of the bunk would give them petrol if they mentioned my name. The moment I gave them my name, they both exclaimed, "Oh, is that you, sir? And your film was so good, sir." From then on, it was smooth sailing for me. I didn't even have to ask for their help. They started the vehicle and shouting, "We shall be back in a moment," they sped off. I just sat and waited. The passing vehicle stopped, and the people therein inquired, listened, and then moved on. Meanwhile, a few bumblebees came, circled the tin of the honey, humming. Since the sides of my Jeep were open and only the top was covered, I guessed they had been drawn by the smell, and so keep quiet. After a while, they flew away. Then a few more came and began going in circles. As the entire area was densely covered with huge trees, these bees, I thought, must have their hive somewhere nearby. In a few minutes, some 10 or more joined the rest, and looking at these bees, I became slightly alarmed. I wanted to get out of the place soon and anxiously waited for the young men to return. Slowly, the number of bees went on increasing. Those which had come first must have gone and told the others. Anyway, their strength had more than doubled by now. Some tried to break through the transparent windshield, and when they couldn't, danced around, hissing in anger. I cursed myself for this new mishap, got off the Jeep, and went and stood under a tree like a refugee. Around my Jeep, hundreds of bees were circling, humming and hissing. When the young men saw me, they were surprised and asked me why I was there. Okay. I explained. One of them said, "How could you be afraid of bees, sir? What can they do?" And boldly moved towards the Jeep with the petrol can in his hand. We followed. When he neared the Jeep, he tried to show off the bees as if they were so many midges or sandflies. He swept one dead with the palm of his hand, and even before he could know what was happening, he had dropped the petrol can to the ground and started running back, hollering in pain. They had stung him on his nose and cheeks. We ran as fast as our legs could carry us. The other said, "You shouldn't have swung your hand so, you know." But they were winging right into my eyes, he said. All three of us stood under the tree and wondered what we could do, but saw no way out. The other person asked whether he would venture out again with his raincoat over his head. The man who had been stung once declared, "No, thank you. Not that I'm afraid, but tomorrow we have a group photograph in our department, and it wouldn't be nice if I go there with a swollen face like Hanumanta." Both of us sympathized with him and told him that his reluctance was understandable. After some time, I said, "Once it gets dark, they will all go away. Then I shall fill the tank and move on. It looks like raining. You'd better go." At first, they politely demurred, but later agreed. Then it started raining. I stood under the tree, shivering and cursing the bees, and waited for the darkness to descend. When I reached home, it was quite late, and my little daughter came out running and shouted, "Oh, Daddy has come." While leaving home, I had told her that I would be getting some honey. My wife, who saw me returning not with a few bottles but a whole tin, was surprised, and when I told her it was all pure honey, she simply smiled. I did not think that a kerosene oil tin was a fit vessel for the precious nectar. I was also curious to see with my own eyes the wealth I had brought home. "Hey, Pyara," I shouted. There was a Muslim boy working as a kitchen assistant in our household. He had been put into a remand home for 6 months as he was found picking pockets at the local bus stand. After he was discharged, he came home, but Jamal, his father, called him a bastard and drove him out. After a brief spell of nomadic life, he came to our estate and worked as a cardamom picker. Later, after the harvest, he had stayed with us. When he heard me shout, he came running with a "Yes, Sahab." "Open the tin," I said. "What's in it?" What's that to you?" I simply asked Sahab. By the time I got into warm clothes and returned, he had promptly brought some live charcoal pieces, placed them on the shouldered lid, and opened the tin. Now, look in and tell me what it is." He bent over, sniffed, and noncommittedly said, "Can't say, Saab. Look again and tell me." He shut his right eye and, peering in with the left, said, "Looks like coconut oil." I felt irritated. "Looks like you need a sound whipping. Can't you see the difference between honey and coconut oil?" "But Saab, it does look like coconut oil." My wife brought a bowl. Straining my muscles, I lifted the heavy tin and poured some into it. But since the bowl was too near the tin, nothing could be seen, and my daughter shouted, "Daddy, nothing coming." I felt cheated, but I couldn't see why nothing came out of the tin. I got a torch and looked through the opening. Pyara's surmise looked quite well founded. Within there was a thick whitish liquid, very much like coconut oil. Pyara, as if reading my worried face, said, "See, you were shouting at me for nothing." I took a thin stick, dipped it into the liquid, and pulled it out. Some whitish substance like glue was there on the stick. I put it into my mouth. It was honey with the true taste. I asked the others to taste. They all said it tasted like honey, but I felt a little disappointed as I was looking forward to seeing a luminous, heavy, golden textured, thick liquid, and Mandana had passed it on to me as the best honey from the Gutti side. While clearing the bill tomorrow, I thought I should give him a piece of my mind. Assuming it had the same property of coconut oil, Pyara said, "The cold, Saab, that is what has made it hard."